my Pre-6 science class. So now we have 3 learning objectives for today's lesson. Okay, so today's lesson is actually a new topic. We have finished covering the topic on forces and we have moved on to energy. Okay, so energy is quite a big theme. All right, so the first part of energy would be something to do with food. That's like my favorite subject, okay? Favorite topic, food. Right, so we learned about the main source of energy for today and the fact that all living things can need energy to carry out all of our life processes, meaning continuing to survive, continuing to grow. Okay, and we also have to understand how this food gets used up by living things. And then finally, we're going to look at some experimental-based questions that will test you on the conditions or the products for photosynthesis. Who can tell me roughly what does photosynthesis mean? If you have seen this before. What does photosynthesis mean? Plants make food. Very good. Okay, so that is the scientific term for it. All right, by the layman's term, we can just say plants make food. Okay, so I understand that some schools are covering this topic or have already covered this topic. But if you have not seen this topic before, then it will be like a new topic for you. Then by the time you study energy in school, it will be like a revision lesson. Okay, so you just tell your teacher, I know everything already. Okay, I can answer every question. Hopefully, I want you to be that confident. All right. First question, this is to test your general knowledge. Okay, see whether you can apply this in real life example. Now, what you're looking at right now, okay, is the nutrition facts, okay, or the food label for all sorts of food packaging. Okay, every time when you look at a food package, or even like drinks, right, even on the drink side, you can see that there's this nutrition facts. And for this one, it is for donuts, okay, and there are several information. Okay, so we run through the information together. So we have the serving size, meaning what is this nutrition facts based on? Okay, out of 6 donuts in the particular package, you're only looking at 1 donut. And then the calories per serving is 250. Okay, and then you have all these percentages that they break down into fats, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrate, protein, all these chemicals. And then finally, this last section here is the nutrients, okay, which is the vitamins and minerals. All right, so now the question is this. Okay, the question is actually over here. Okay, which information should you focus on to know the amount of energy that this food provides? So when you look at the food labels, how do you know how much energy you get? Okay, is it from serving size? Okay, or is it from number 2, calories? Number 3, the substances? Or number 4, nutrients? Okay, so you have to choose out of these 4 options. So some of you say you already learned. Okay, if you're not sure, you can still give a guess. Okay, this one is general knowledge. Okay, if you cannot get it correct, it's fine. Okay, we learn together. All right, so if you can get it correct, well done, well done. But if not, it's okay. Okay, this is a general knowledge question. They will not test this in exams. It's just good for your own, application in everyday life. The answer is calories. Yes. So what is the explanation behind this? Okay, calories is basically what we call the unit equivalent of the amount of food, having an energy producing value. Okay, in other words, you can estimate the amount of energy that you get by looking at the number of calories. So the higher the calories, the more energy you will get, from eating this, right? So yeah, so if you're aware of this, well done, well done. So you have to look at the labels sometimes, just to check it out. Okay, joules, sometimes they use in terms of joules or kilojoules. That is just another unit for calories or for energy. Sometimes they change. Yeah, so you have to read the correct one. Okay? Yeah. Moving on. Okay, so how much energy does the donut provide? In this case is, of course, 250 calories, right? I think this one, too easy. Okay, how long will you need to jog to use up? This is another challenge. Okay, so how long do you think you will need to jog in order to use up all the 250 calories? I think those people who are like in sports, right? You probably sort of know. Okay, because I can tell a lot of you are able to tell me the exact answer. Time for me to reveal. Okay, reveal the answer now. Yes, on average about 1 hour to break down one donut. But this is only estimated. Okay, it really depends on the individual, okay, on your age, on your gender, whether you're young, whether you're old. Okay, usually when you're younger, okay, young people tend to burn faster, so you probably don't need to run exactly 1 hour, but older people like me probably have to like run for 1 hour 30 minutes just to burn one donut. Yeah, okay. So besides energy, food also give us blanks such as vitamins and minerals. Having a blank diet is important. So what do you think is the first blank here? Food also give us what? What is this vitamins and minerals? They are what we call, okay, a lot of you said nutrients. All right, let's check it. Yes. Okay, so remember, it's not just about energy. We also need vitamins and minerals for other, growth, okay, for your skin, for your eyesight, okay, for your hair. You need all these nutrients. And having a what diet? Okay, I see balance, proper, healthy diet. Okay, so let's see. Balanced diet. Okay, so you should never like eat too much calories or too little calories. It has to be in moderation. Very well done. Very well done. So that brings us to the focus for today, which is energy in food. So basically, we need food to blank. We also need food for energy, such as walking, breathing, and even sleeping. So we need food to stay alive, okay, to survive. Very good. And the correlation is very simple. As our level of activity increases, means if you're doing more vigorous activity, you will need more energy. Okay, so level of energy also increases. Okay, and then the opposite. Okay, when you're resting, when you're sleeping, you will not need as much energy. Right, so this is where your energy decreases. Okay, so yeah, so you have to take note. So sometimes after you eat, right, you will realize that if you eat the right balanced food, okay, you will get the right amount of energy. But if you don't eat properly or you don't eat enough, okay, you will feel very tired all the time. So what are the methods of obtaining food? Okay, if you look at the picture over here, right, so we have plants and animals. Humans are, under animals category, and also there's a pet rabbit there. Very cute. Okay, so how do you think these two groups of living things below obtain food? It's quite obvious. The plants, Zixuan said plants make their own food. Good. Then how about animals? Where do we get our energy from? So it's plants make own food. Plants are very independent. But for us, unfortunately, we will need to buy from supermarket and then eat it, right? Okay, we cannot self-make food. Right? If we can self-make food, means everybody will have green skin. Okay, everybody will look green because we need that special green pigment in order to have this ability to make their own food. Okay, and plants have that ability. So today we're going to look at, like how plants, actually make use of this green pigment. Okay, so let's take a look at this animation together. Okay, the story of the plant. So we look at this animation first. Right, so you have like a tree here with a lot of roots. So first things first, let's see. Okay, they zoom in onto the roots. And then you see all these blue little particles, which is the water. Okay, so water is absorbed by the roots. They will just travel upwards, okay, into all parts of the plant, including the leaves. So that's where the water is absorbed. And then you flip over the leaves, you can see a lot of tiny holes, okay, or tiny openings. Okay, CO2 stands for carbon dioxide. This is the chemical term, right? Or the chemical name. And then light is trapped by the chlorophyll in the leaves. So the sunlight, okay, gets trapped. And as a result, okay, it produces sugar as well as release oxygen. So that's pretty much the whole process of how plants make their food. Okay, so let's break this down together. Okay, I'm going to pause at certain junction. Right, so first you notice that there's a lot of water being absorbed. One thing is missing here. Okay, besides water, what else is being absorbed by the roots? Very good. Okay, Alafati can tell me it's mineral salts. Okay, mineral salts. So it's not just water, okay, mineral salts as well. And then when it gets transferred to the leaves, right? Okay, we have a lot of these tiny openings. They are also known as, do you know the term for it? Well, even is very fast. You said stomata. Yes. So a lot of these openings are found on the underside of the leaves. They are like little openings that will open, okay, open, or the holes. And it allows carbon dioxide to enter. Okay, carbon dioxide to enter. So take note, okay, this is exam tip, all right? Do not write your answer. Okay, I know some of you have this bad habit. You just write CO2 inside your answer. Okay, most of the time, they will not accept. Okay, they will expect you to spell out. At least for most schools, I believe, okay, they will be very strict with this. For PSLE as well. Okay, so do not take the shortcut, all right? Please spell it out, all right? Carbon dioxide. And after photosynthesis has taken place, see, you have the carbon dioxide taken in. And then this part here. This is very important. Do you see that term there? Light is trapped by the chlorophyll. Okay, so those who have learned this topic before, what is chlorophyll referring to? Yes, so the green color pigment is called the chlorophyll. Okay, so green pigment means color. It's called the chlorophyll. Okay, it's not the chloroplast. Okay, chloroplast is the part of it, the part of the leaf, but inside the chloroplast is what we call the chlorophyll. And this pigment is very special. Okay, what it does is it absorbs the light energy from the sun. It doesn't have to necessarily be a sun. It can be artificial light, can still absorb, right? So as long as there's light, it can use that light and make food. Right, so now on the question tab, I see that some of you are asking me about mitochondria. Okay, so mitochondria, just take note, this is not tested in PSLE. But if you're curious to know what mitochondria is, okay, it's part of a cell that also basically provide energy. Okay, we have mitochondria in all living things, right? Including us, including the plants. But it is not in the syllabus, so I would not want to elaborate too much on it. Yeah, it's the powerhouse of cell. Very good. Okay, so as a result of photosynthesis, right? This is what happened. Okay, again, when you see O2, do not write O2. Okay, please, please, please. Right, I remind you one more time. Okay, O2, do not write O2. Okay, spell out oxygen. Okay, oxygen. Right, don't take shortcut, right? So then oxygen will be released and some of the sugar, okay, will be transported. Okay, so sugar will be the food for the plant. And it will be transported back into the various parts of the plant. So when you see carbon dioxide, okay, carbon dioxide or your CO2 coming in and oxygen coming out, what is this process called? There is two words to it, starting with G and then E. When you have the exchange of what? There's carbon dioxide, there's oxygen. I already give you the second word actually, exchange. So what exchange? Gaseous exchange, yeah. So this process is called gaseous exchange, in which the carbon dioxide enters the plant and then the plant releases oxygen. So it's like, you know, it's like an exchange of gas. Okay, so just a summary, right? This process, by now all of you should know that it's called photosynthesis. Plants absorb, just now we noticed that was water, right? Okay, water through the roots. And then plants take in, okay, spell out carbon dioxide through tiny openings, which is also known as, the tiny openings are also known as stomata. Okay, so in any case you forget the word stomata, PSLE syllabus accept you writing tiny openings. It is fine. Okay, so if you forgot, you're like, is it stomach? Is it stomata? You're not sure, right? You just use the word tiny openings, okay? Then the leaves contain green pigment called chlorophyll, which is found in chloroplast. Okay, so I'm just going to draw out for you a simple drawing. Okay, so usually in a cell, right, you will see something that looks like a sausage. And then you will have like something like that. Okay, the structure. Okay, maybe something like this. And then they will color this green. Color this green. Right, so this whole thing here, this part of the cell, this whole thing here is called the chloroplast. Okay, but the green color that you see here, this green color is the chlorophyll. Okay, so don't get confused between the two terms. Okay, so don't get confused, right? So it is the chlorophyll that absorbs the sunlight or the light, not just the chloroplast. Okay, yeah, don't think too much about food. Just because you know this topic is about food, everybody gets hungry. All right, move on. Okay, plants making food. All right, so chlorophyll traps light, which enables them to make food in the form of sugar. All right, so this is a simple equation to showcase what happens during photosynthesis. So basically, you have carbon dioxide plus water, and then this big arrow here with light. Okay, this light can come from the sun, can also come from artificial light. And then as a product of it, okay, it will form sugar and then oxygen. Okay, so plants make use of the what in the sugar to stay alive. So what is so important about this sugar? It provides the plant with energy. Okay, so plants make use of the energy in the sugar to stay alive. If excess sugar is produced, the sugar is converted to starch. Yeah, so starch is the more complex version of sugar. Okay, so it becomes like a big lump. Yeah, and they can be stored. Okay, the starch, let me remove this first. The starch can be stored in different parts of the plant, such as roots or stems. So if you look at the image below here, you can see that some parts of it is underground, right? Okay, like the carrot, the turnips, okay, or the tomato fruit here. Okay, so this is where the starch can be stored. Right, these are what we call excess sugar. So the plants will use some of the sugar, okay, to develop, to grow, but then it will have excess starch and then it will store it, okay, in the fruits or in the roots or in the stem. And for us, okay, because we cannot make our own food, we will eat all of these parts for energy. Okay, we will eat this part over here, this part over here, here, for all the starch. Yeah. Okay, so you just said, your teacher called the sugar glucose. That is correct. Okay, that is the scientific name for the sugar. But are you expected to know how to write glucose? No need. In exams, can just use the word sugar at this level. Okay, but when you learn about photosynthesis at higher level, okay, at secondary school, then you must use the word glucose. But for now, you can just use the word sugar. Okay, so what is also a product of photosynthesis? I think we already talked about this. Okay, because of plants, thank goodness for plants, there is life on Earth. All right, imagine without this chlorophyll, there will be no life on Earth. For the fact that we will not get enough oxygen. Yeah. How does the excess sugar become starch? Okay, it's actually quite a long process. You cannot just say it's one equation. It's a series of chemical reactions. So yeah, so for humans, right? So for humans, okay, for mammals or animals, if we eat too much, okay, it will our sugar that we eat, let's say the sugar, it will not be converted to starch in our body. We don't have the ability to do that, but rather it will be converted to fats, okay, or another form of big sugar. Yeah, so that's why we cannot eat like, way too much calories than what is intended for us. You already learned? Okay, so that will be your revision. All right, so let's look at the first bubble question. I mean the second one, right? Excluding the first question, the test out. All right, so plant making food experiment. So let's look at this experiment. So we have the lamp here. We have a test tube with a underwater plant, okay, or water plant. And then they added baking soda. The retort stand is just to hold the test tube up. And we have a ruler here. Okay, so the experiment was set up as shown. Okay, to find out how the amount of light affects. Okay, so let me highlight the aim of the experiment first. Okay, so amount of light affects the rate of photosynthesis by changing the distance between the lamp and the test tube. So this student called Kane said that the hypothesis is the rate of photosynthesis increases when the amount of light increases. So now the question is this. Is Kane's hypothesis correct? Explain your answer. So he predicted that the rate of photosynthesis, okay, how fast this plant can make food, depends on the amount of light it receives. So do you think this is a correct hypothesis for this particular experiment? Okay, number 1, well done. Okay, because the hypothesis explain the aim of the experiment. However, quite a number of you wrote number 3. Why is it not number 3? Okay, let's look at number 3. Yes, because the plant required light to make food and produce oxygen as a result. Okay, even though if you look at the statement separately, right? If it's statement on its own, this is a correct statement, correct? If it's on its own, not related to this experiment. However, if you try to link it to the experiment, right? It is not very accurate because if you look at the experiment itself, we are measuring basically the distance and the amount of light, right? The amount of light needed by the plant. Whereas for option 3, you talk about how the plants require light. So for this particular hypothesis, right, most probably the experiment will have one plant with light and then another plant without light. Okay, so if that is the experiment, means you expose one plant to light and one plant with no light, and then you notice that that plant with light produces oxygen or bubbles, then yes, this will be the appropriate hypothesis. Okay, this is a good learning point. Okay, so it's okay. So like I said, in Geniebook, if you make mistakes, it is fine because this is just our practice session. Yeah, so you have to relate the hypothesis back to the aim of the experiment. In this case, it's the amount of light, intensity of light, and not whether a presence of light, presence or absence of light. Okay, what is being measured in this experiment? You know that when there's photosynthesis, okay, it will produce this gas, right? So what gas is that? Okay, I'm not going to reveal yet because it is related to this question. Yeah, so there are bubbles being formed. Do you see these little bubbles here? So what do you think is that bubble that is being formed when photosynthesis has taken place? Ooh, wow, not bad. So you're able to tell me that the gas or the bubbles that is being produced is actually oxygen. Yeah, so the more bubbles you see means the more oxygen being released, means the higher the rate of photosynthesis. Still on the same experiment, but this time Kane has already recorded the results. So he recorded results as follows. Okay, so he write down distance of lamp from plant in centimeters. Okay, number of bubbles rising to the surface of water in 1 minute. Okay, so Kane is very good. Okay, he managed to write all the units very clearly. So you see that when the plant is placed close to the lamp, okay, the distance is only 5 cm, number of bubbles is 35. But when he pulled the lamp away from the plant, the number of bubbles become 18. So based on the results above, what can he conclude from this experiment? Okay, so if you look at the answers, right, you can clearly tell that there is one method that you can use to answer this type of question. Who can tell me what method is this? Starting with R. What method is it? Who can tell me? What method is it? Oh, okay. So what does relationship method comprises of? 2 things. C and E. What does the C and the E stands for? Okay, we all know it's relationship, but it's not a boy-girl relationship. We're talking about what and what? Cause and effect. Okay. Yeah, so the cause must come first, followed by the effect. Most of the time you write it this way, you'll never go wrong. Okay, so what is the cause? Okay, in this experiment, or what we call don't use the dependent variable, we use the measured variable. Okay, what is the no, actually the cause is the change variable. Okay, so cause is change variable, CV, and then effect is the measured variable, MV. So must talk about the cause, which is the change variable. What did he change in this experiment? And what did he measure? The answer is number 3. As the amount of light decreases, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. So distance of lamp, okay, if you go further away from the plant, means you are decreasing the amount of light. So this is the cause. And rate of photosynthesis is the effect. And in this case, how do you measure the rate of photosynthesis? You look at the number of bubbles. Okay, so the more bubbles there are, the higher the rate of photosynthesis. Means the plant very happy. Photosynthesize a lot, give out a lot of oxygen. That's why. Right, let's look at the next question. Okay, this is the bubble question 1. Diagram below shows the seedling. Seedling is a young plant and an adult plant. So obviously you can tell that this one is the young plant, the small one here. This the big one here is the adult plant, okay? Which of the following is true for both the adult plant and the seedling? Is it A, make its own food? Is it B, able to produce seeds? Is it C, absorb water through its roots? Or is it 4, take in mineral salts through its roots? Okay, so the clue here is to look carefully at the structure of the seedling and the adult plant. Even though there's no color in this diagram, but you can sort of tell the parts of the plant, right? You must look very carefully, okay, at the image, at the image. And then later, right, I will ask some of your friends to explain. Okay? In case there's some of you who got it wrong, I will ask some of you who got it right to help explain, okay, why is the answer this and not that? Wow, this is about the same percentage as the previous question. About 89% of you got it correct. So, although a bit of you were tricked and then you wrote option 2. Yeah, I think I know why. Because the moment you see seedling, right, you'll be like, it just takes food from the seed leaves, right? Is that right? Is that why you choose option 2? But then you got tricked, okay? Not all seedlings refer to just the seed leaves, okay? Sometimes when it has a grown leaf, okay, when it's already grown its leaves, it can make its own food, okay, or it can already make its own food. Okay, so it will take some of the food from the leaf and then it will try to use up the rest of the food here as well. Okay, so it has like 2 sources of food, from the leaf and then from the remaining seed leaves. But the question is, can it make its own food? Yes, it can. Yeah, so you have to be very careful. You have to look at the diagram given. Let's look at this one. Marlene placed 4 similar plants, W, X, Y, and Z, in the garden. Okay, in this case, only the number of leaves, okay, that the plant had was different. So this is what we call CV, which stands for change variable, right? She made sure that all the plants had the same amount of water and were exposed to the same amount of sunlight. So the only thing is different here is the number of leaves. Okay, so you must open your eyes wider and count the number of leaves, and then you tell me which plant will make the most amount of food and which plant will make the least amount of food. And you have to arrange them according, okay, to increasing order. Meaning start off with the least amount of food. Okay, so from least to most. Okay. Increasing order, another word they will use is ascending. Yes, so ascending means from small to big. If you look at the opposite, okay, that would be descending. Decreasing, the word they use for decreasing will be descending. Yeah, so sometimes in exam, they will use the word ascending. Ascending means increasing versus descending. Descending. Okay, so this is increase, this is decrease. I think they use this in math too, right? These words, these terms. So let's see. The answer is number 2. Okay, W, Z, Y, X. Okay, so W, Z, Y, X. Why is it? Because if you look at W, you only have 4 leaves. Z, 5. How many is Y? How many leaves are there on Y? Miscount. 6. Yes, and then the last one. Wow, Ashita is able to tell me all the numbers correctly. Very well done. Very well done. Okay, good. So now let's test your ability to read graph. Okay, so just like in math, okay, science sometimes love to use things like bar chart, graph, okay, something that looks like this. All right, so let's read it. Okay, so we have a green plant that is placed outdoors on a sunny day. Which graph correctly represents the plant's rate of photosynthesis, which is how fast the plant can make food? So if you look at the two axes, we have the x-axis, which show you the time. Okay, and then the rate of photosynthesis is the y-axis. So look at the time carefully. Okay, it's from 8 a.m. in the morning all the way to 8 p.m. So when do you think is the time where the plant can photosynthesize the most? Okay, who can help me to explain why is the answer D? Why is it that we are referring to this line over here, this line over here? Why is this the answer? Basically, you're saying that, let's say this is the sun. Okay, usually the sun will rise from which direction? This is like extra knowledge. Where will the sun rise from? The east. Very good. So it will rise from the east, right? From the east here, okay, all the way to the west. So at one point, it'll be here, and then over here, and then over here, right? So when the sun is just rising, okay, you notice that, okay, this part here, it starts to increase, okay? So this is the arrow represented, the green arrow. Then when it reaches around noon, okay, noon will be somewhere around 12 to 1 p.m. That is where the sun is right on top of you. Okay, it's super hot. They always say that you try not to go outdoors when it's around noon time because of the intensity of the light, all right, and the heat. Okay, so it's not very good for the skin as well. So at around 12 to 1 p.m., which is around here, okay, this point here, that is where the highest rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so it's good for the plants, but not so good for us. Okay, if you have to come out at this time, you have to remember to use sunscreen to protect your skin. But after that, the sun will go down, right? It will go down, it will start to set. So that's why you notice that it will decrease slowly until it reaches 8 p.m., which is nighttime, no more sunlight. So the plant photosynthesis will be reduced drastically. Yeah, so the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. That's why the one that is most accurate will be option 4. Okay, D. Yes, good. Next, still a graph question. Okay, Sylvia wants to find out if varying the amount of light will affect the rate of photosynthesis in water plants. Which of the following graph is correctly labeled? Okay, so this time round, they didn't draw the data. They just want you to tell what is the correct label for the axis. Okay, the x-axis and the y-axis. What is the correct label? So even say it's relationship. Yes, you have to use the knowledge of relationship, cause and effect. Okay, so what is the cause? What is the effect in this particular example? So the clue will be, okay, this one will be the cause. This one will be the effect. Oh, okay, not bad. Around 83%, if my math is right, 83% of you get it correct. The answer should be number 3. Okay, so light, this is the cause. Okay, number of bubbles produced, this will be the effect. Okay, so bubble question number 5. The figure below shows how the leaf of a balsam plant carries out photosynthesis. So they just take a leaf from this plant called balsam, and then you see all these little arrows, right? So you see the arrow that is pointing towards the leaf, away from the leaf, and then light energy coming in, and then something comes into the leaf and something goes out. So if you remember the animation earlier, okay, during the first few slides, all right, what do you see in terms of the movement of materials? Okay, so what do the different arrows represent? So you have A, B, C, D. So is it sugar? Is it water? Is it oxygen? Is it carbon dioxide? Hello? Is this a very difficult question? Why become 75% now? Okay, look. The answer should be number 4, right? Okay, why is it number 4? Okay, I'll use my different color to show you the difference. Okay, so what goes into the leaf has to be water, right? So water is A. Remember, the leaf needs water coming from the roots. Remember the animation, it goes up. Yeah. And then if you look at B, okay, what is being produced as a result of photosynthesis? It is the sugar. Okay, so that's why B is going away. Then gaseous exchange during photosynthesis. Mainly carbon dioxide will come in. Okay, carbon dioxide. And finally, oxygen will be released. So I think the easiest giveaway is actually this part here, right? This part here. This is like the easiest part. All right, last question for today. Okay, last bubble question for today. Ian carried out an experiment in the in the dark room. He measured the amount of gas collected in the test tube after shining yellow light. Oh, so wow, Ian have different types of, oh, what happened? Ian has different types of colored light. He has blue, green, red, and yellow, okay, torchlight. And then when he shined different colored lights onto the plant, right, he noticed that the amount of gas collected is different. So first of all, what is the gas that we're talking about here? Oxygen. Yeah, oxygen. Okay, so yeah, so you notice that for blue, give you about 7 cm cube of oxygen, whereas for yellow, give you about 3 cm cube. So you have to look at the data. Then the next part is Ian also have an aquarium or fish tank, okay, containing plant pea and some fishes. There is no air pump. So which color of light should he use to shine on this aquarium to allow his fishes to survive for the longest period of time? Yeah, so if we have the fish, okay, fish need oxygen from the plant. So which type of color, okay, of light is best for him to use for the aquarium? Yeah, so if the more amount of gas produced means the more amount of oxygen being produced, right? So which color of light? Okay, this aquarium is going to look so cool because it's not going to use the regular white light. It's going to use what? Okay, not bad. Improvement from the previous question. Okay, definitely an improvement. A lot of you can tell me it is blue light. Yay! So blue light give you the most amount of oxygen according to Ian's experiment. So imagine, very cool, right? The aquarium is like blue color. Okay, so percentage is in the 80%. Yes. All right, so we are done with the lesson. So far we've learned about why living things need energy. Okay, is to survive, to stay alive. Understand where we get this energy from, which is from plants that can make food. And finally, we actually went through some questions that is related to photosynthesis. Okay, so next week we will look at more examples.